Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambo. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Green Bay Packers as we're just, a couple of short days away from kickoff, right, Tim? Well, 3 days away, I guess you could say. Can't get here soon enough, man. I'm excited to see how these Packers match up against Philadelphia Eagles.
Absolutely, man. I've been doing a little Philadelphia Eagle deep dive in here, and it's going to be a hell of a game. I'll tell you that. I don't see a boat race in either direction. I think the Packers are going to come to play.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think you're gonna see the best version of the Packers. Given the state of the injuries and everything, just go out there, go down swinging, man. If you go down, right, that's for sure. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Chris in the house. We got CJ in. CJ in, as a matter of fact, says we need someone to step up. Amen to that, buddy. And that's what happened, the last Super Bowl that they won, right? We talked about that, how, Kevin Green kind of called on Clay Matthews in that game and said, hey, everybody looks at Wood because he's the leader. Well, he's gone. He ain't coming back. He's gone. Nobody's stepping up and rallying the effing troops. It's time. It is time.
One of the most infamous moments in NFL history, in my opinion. I'm a little biased, right? We're Packer fans, but my goodness, I get chills every time I see that clip.
I've never seen anything like it because it was the very next play. Like that conversation happened at the end of the quarter, and it was the first play of the fourth quarter, right?
Yep.
He goes out and forces the fumble.
Can you think of anyone better to be a linebacker coach for Clay Matthews at that point in his career than Kevin freaking Green? I mean, how blessed were we that he was on the staff? It's amazing.
Yeah, and see, it was very unique for me because, like I've told you guys time and time again, I grew up a Steelers fan, right? Because my brother was a big Steelers fan. And when I was watching the Steelers with him in the 90s, it was Blitzburg. So it was Kevin Green and Greg Lloyd, right? And you had Levon Kirkland and Cornell Lake, the whole gang, right? And as soon as they hired Dom Capers, first person I called was my brother and was like, hey, man, we hired Dom Capers as our DC. and most fans wouldn't even realize what that meant, right? And it's like, I said, yeah. And I said, here's the rumor too. Kevin Green's going to be our outside linebacker coach. And he was like, no way. I'm like, yeah. And it was Darren Perry, I think, too, came over. There was another defensive back that came over as a defensive backs coach. So many of the players, or several of the players, I should say, that Dom Capers coached in Pittsburgh back in the 90s came over as his assistants to teach this scheme to the Packers. And you've seen they have one of the best defenses in the league that year. So obviously they were off and running. And man, what a fun ride it was. And yeah, you're right, Tim. Kevin Green, it meant so much more to me because it's like, man, this was the way my brother had a rooting interest in the Packers. It was really, really cool. So,
right, because all his boys are over in Green Bay now.
Yeah.
And then of course we beat the Steelers to win a Super Bowl.
And he called me, never forget, man. He called me the day of the Super Bowl and was like, hey, what's going on? What's up? He said, I just want you to know I'm pulling for the Packers. That's what he said.
Wow.
That's awesome. So,
that's so cool.
It was a cool moment.
And he was right because we got the dub. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. CJ in the chat says Melton catch fire in the playoffs would be huge. It would, man. And it's funny you bring him up. Matter of fact, I was going to start with Patreon, but since you brought that up, let's go ahead and get off the rails here, Tim. We'll go to Twitter. I want to show you guys something here.
We'll go to Bo Melton live.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Exactly. So since you mentioned Bo Melton, I put this tweet out earlier. I was like, of all the receivers on the Packers roster that could simulate Christian Watson's speed, it's probably Bo Melton, minus the stride length. Just mentioning the clock speed isn't everything. That stride length is very, very manipulative to defenders. It can really, really cause problems, right? As a matter of fact, you heard Philadelphia talk about it a couple of years ago going, yeah, man, you think you had an angle on that number 9 and he was gone. There was nothing you could do about it. I said, we always mention, but he doesn't block like Christian, right? Because Christian's just such a good blocker. I said, well, that seems to be changing as Coach LaFleur says, no block, no rock. Check this out, boys. This is Bo Melton. He just motioned over, and he's playing that real, real close split, right? Check this out. We're going to roll it. It's already in slow motion. Look at this block. Bang. You see it come through. I mean, he sticks him, Tim. This is a great angle right here. And I love how he stands over him, too. Gives him the little – you do realize what just happened, right? Watch him right here. Watch him get up. He's like, I just went off camera. I had it zoomed in too far. He stands up over him like, You good? It's awesome. So again, man, Bo Melton increasing or improving, I should say, that aspect of his game, man. It's absolutely huge.
I think Bo understands the assignment. And if you're going to try and fill the void when you lose a guy like Scoot, this is what you have to do. You have to go out there and look for work. His nickname is Get Busy Bo, right? So get busy. Get out there and look for work, knock somebody on their ass, and let's roll. And that's what's going to open things up for him in the passing game too. If he's blocking effectively, the minute we run a little sugar or we have a little deception there, and all of a sudden he's running on a route, man, he is gone. And we talk about the wheels. I think Bo's got pretty good hands too. He's had drop issues in the past, like a lot of our guys, but at the end of the day, man, like CJN says, if Bo steps up and continues to do this against Philly, we got a chance. We got more of a chance to win the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's funny you said that. That's the first thing that came to mind for me too, Tim, was when you said, hey, you can start to show a little sugar. You run that stalk route, right? Where you're stalking the defender like you're blocking them, and then bang, you bust off and you run a route. Man, you put enough of this on tape, I guarantee you DB coach is going to be like, hey, watch out for 80. He'll clean your clock.
Yep.
Then he
runs. You got to believe you're going to do it, right? Otherwise, there's no way to set up any deception. So you got to go out there and hammer those blocks for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So again, that's just wanted to go ahead and highlight that since it was mentioned there by CJN. Again, he could catch fire. There's no doubt about it, man. I kind of expect if we're going to win this game, me personally, I think Dontavion Wicks needs to have a big game. I really do. And you may see the reemergence of the shot plays to Romeo Doubs. You notice how we haven't thrown a lot of shot plays to Rome this year? It's because he's working that boundary X, kind of playing in the phone booth, and you had Christian stretching the field most of the year. I mean, Christian, people like to call him injury prone because he played in 15 games this year,
Yeah.
So now you may look to go, hey, you know what? Let's get Rome on some shot plays. Let's get him on some shot plays, work Reed underneath, maybe even work Bo opposite Dobbs. You give me a one-on-one matchup with Romeo Dobbs on a deep ball, I like my chances. I really do.
Me too. Even against that really tough secondary that they have there in Philly that we talked about. I think Rome is the contested catch king on this football team, and I'm all for it. Let's send them. Let's do it.
Definitely. Caldwell Corner, good to see you in here, buddy. Appreciate you. Actually became a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. He says you're feeling better, Clayton. Probably hear it in the voice. I'm one of those people that when I get sick, my voice gets deeper. And then when I'm healthy, I sound like I'm 12 years old, But we're getting better, man. We're limping through it, but appreciate you asking, man. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for being a member here on YouTube. You're the man. All right, next. We were going to dive into the Patreon group first, so let's go back to that. I want to get those in before we run out of time. And you know how it works, Tim. We'll look up and we'll be 40 minutes into this thing. Let's see here. Greg S. in the Patreon group. If you guys want to join our Patreon group, you can scan the QR code in the upper right. That'll send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access Live. We got a multitude of chats in there where you can kind of keep up with each other, that type of thing. Just talk ball. And we got questions for the show. You go to the front of the line, just like the super chats here on YouTube. But Greg S. said, I wasn't able to listen to the entire morning show, so you may have found this out already. Hurts is definitely playing. They cut their reserve quarterback last night. He is practicing today, but won't clear protocol until the next morning if he's symptom-free. So there you go. The fact that they cut that reserve really makes you think that, okay, Kenny Pickett's ribs are probably okay too, right, Tim? You kind of read between the lines there. So that's good to know.
Absolutely.
Greg S., Baldy's breakdown. Here's some notes from Baldy's breakdown this week. Packers don't have an anchor of the defensive line. What have I been saying? Eagles' O-line is definitely better than the Packers' defensive front. All right, got it. Eagles' D-line is slightly better than the Packers' O-line. I would probably agree with all that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Jalen struggles more against zone, especially with 2+ blitzers, Todd Bowles style defense. So, again, when you look at how we got burnt last time, you guys remember it was cover one man. Jair got burned on a double move by A.J. Brown. That play was probably the most important play of that week one matchup. So, my answer is always stay the hell away from man coverage, Tim. You can play match if you want. Match it up a little bit. That's cool. But when you just go straight man, bad things always happen, man.
Give me some of this, man. Give me some of this all day long.
And mix it, right? Mix and match.
Mix it all up. Yep, exactly.
That way you make Jalen Hurts read the defense rather than go out, little pre-snap motion, and he goes, man coverage. I'm just going to throw the ball right here.
Yep.
So, yeah, good stuff, Greg. Thank you for sharing that, man, from Baldy's breakdowns Brian Baldinger's the man. Nebraska Rev says, I know many love the run game and want us to run the ball 2 of every 3 downs to start the game. I'm not worried about the running game. I also don't think we can beat the Eagles without an effective passing game. I agree with that. I am more worried that we have failed to get Jordan going in the passing game against good teams. In this game, I would rather see us establish a possession passing game to begin the game. So, I mean, short passes to the flats or shallow slants and crosses, including passes to the running backs. I'm not talking about 20-yard shots down the field. Easy completions meant to get Jordan comfortable and in rhythm. To me, we can't win unless we get Jordan in the passing game going. I agree with most of that. Here's the problem. There's been underneath routes baked into these plays. Everything that you said in this message here, Rev, was my argument immediately following the game against Chicago, right? And then I go back and watch the tape, the All-22, and I go, they're there. Jordan's just not taking them. So, yeah, it's one of those things that when we say we got to get Jordan in a rhythm, Jordan's got to get Jordan in a rhythm. You know, the options are there.
Be willing to take that open receiver.
Right. And the other thing, too, is when you pass on those early downs, which we did a lot, and you fall behind schedule, that's where you're putting your quarterback in a situation where now he's got to drop back and pass, as opposed to run it on first down, get 2 or 3 yards, then go play action off of that. Everything's on the table on 2nd and 7. 2nd and 10, about a third of your playbook goes out the window, right? Yep. So that you gotta take that consideration too. But you're spot on, Rev. You got to get the passing game going if you're gonna win this ball game. It ain't just about we just run the ball. You need to commit to the run, but don't kid yourself into thinking if you don't hit on some explosive passes in this game, you're gonna struggle to win. There's no doubt about that.
We've talked about that with this Packers team too. Is that we take those deep shots, right? And then, we get the checkdowns and the short passes going when we need to. But where's that mid-range passing game? Where's that making up for the gap there in the middle where you're able to hit on some of those intermediate kind of throws. And I think we've had them open. We've seen it plenty of times. Matt schemes guys open. We got 2 or 3 targets open on a play, but Jordan has that killer instinct and wants to take the kill shot on every snap. So I think what Rev is saying there is spot on, man. We've got to be able to have answers because Philly's defense matches up extremely well against our O-line. So, like you say, running on early downs is important, even if it is 2 yards or 3 yards, or you're barely moving the football. It's keeping that defensive front honest and being able to create things off of that run game.
Yeah, definitely. Dan the Stan in the chat says, I like the thought of zone blitzing. Hurts has been out for a couple weeks. We have to make him uncomfortable. And when we say zone blitzing, Dan, I look at it like you don't have to bring more than 4, but you want to bring them from different areas, right? You want to have some 55 drop, some 90 drop. You want to have these guys that are edge defenders typically. What you do when you do that, when you put at least 5 guys on the line of scrimmage and then you drop 4 out, or you drop 1 out and you're only bringing 4. What the Packers have been doing predominantly this year is they've been showing simulated pressure. They're only bringing 4, but they're truly bringing 3 because 1 is playing a touch spot. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, right? But what it does too, when you drop that guy off, if Enigbare, right, 55 drop, we've called that out on Chalk Talk all year long. That's something that you could tell they really wanted to do with Enigbare's athleticism is get that long, lean dude out in space to be able to get his hands into those passing lanes, that type of thing. When you line him up on the edge, matter of fact, I'll use this shot right here of the Eagles defense. This guy right here, right? Let me see if I can get it. Right here. If you end up dropping him out, guess what happens? A quick jab step and then he drops. 50 has to respect that. He has to kick step, slide out. Well, guess what? You've taken a hat count +1 because you're occupying 50 with him having to honor the fact that you may rush outside, and then you drop out and you take away this quick hitter to Jaden Reed, right? Then you're a +1 hat count, right? You occupied 50 and you took away 11 on the hot. That's how you make a quarterback go, oh crap, what are they doing, right?
Yeah, chess, not checkers, right? Yep.
And don't tip your hand. Don't tip your hand. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Bullard playing safety. He showed it too soon, came down and tipped his hand. They changed the play. Packers didn't change the play, and now they've got you in a hat count disadvantage by running weak side because they know that safety's playing spur here. That's one of the advantages of Fangio style is they want to show quarters every play, but they're actually not playing it. they're playing it probably third or fourth most of any scheme that they're actually calling, is because they're showing shell, what we call shell, every single time, and then you got that late rotation.
Yep.
We talk about what's so important about an NFL quarterback, like the most important skill set, if you will. There's 4 things. There's pre-snap read, there's post-snap read, there's accuracy, and there's quick release. To me, those are the 4 most important things that a quarterback needs to have. And if you show the same look pre-snap every time, right, then you're not giving the quarterback information. You're removing his ability to pre-snap read. Now, you can do it by sugaring simulated pressure as well. But what you don't want to do is put guys in place and then just leave them there, right? So you either want to sugar pressure or just show that vanilla too high shell. That way you can cross off one of the 4 things that the quarterback needs to do well to be successful, if that makes sense. So
it totally makes sense, because that, like when we talk about Jordan, it's the post snap read that's been the issue lately, right? It's everything else is good, but that post snap read and throw into that open man, even if it is kind of shallow or it's quick and it's your first read and he's open, there's that tendency that he's trying to get to the second, third, or even fourth read and things kind of break down. So it's very true what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's exactly what Packers Kingdom's saying. Your love needs to be on point.
Yep.
On point, you hear that, Tim, and you immediately think accuracy. Accuracy, very true, very important. But it also means take what the hell they're giving you and take it quick. The quicker you get to the answer, that guy can turn upfield and make a play. Right?
Especially on the leaks or the shallow cross or something. The sooner you get that ball to that receiver, the more yak you can get and the more that play can develop. If you're ball patting and scanning, trying to look for a deep shot, and then you're last minute firing that check down, even if you get a completion, usually the guy's blown up immediately.
2 yards, right?
Yeah, doesn't do much. So this is what we talk about a rhythm, with the offense.
And here I am talking about hit your spots, hit them early, get the ball in space, make sure it's accurate, pre-snap, post-snap read. Not just had a tiny bag of Doritos drinking a 7-Up. You know what I mean? Like, I know what the hell's going on. But here we are talking ball anyway. Wolfman in the chat said, I would like Matt LaFleur to block 6, maybe 7 more often. I think Love needs confidence. He'll have time. Guys are open. Yeah, the problem with it, Wolfman, is, obviously you're taking more targets out of the defense. Now, when you play Fangio, if Fangio does play a significant amount of quarters coverage, which is essentially cover 4 match, and you've got that many sitting back there in protection, here's what happens. They now have just a 4-man rush, and you're down 2 hats, right? And you've only got, let's say you do have a 7-man protection, right? Well, that means you've only got 4, actually 3, minus Jordan, 3 guys in the route, and they're going to have 7 guys able to cover him with match principles, meaning, hey, if this 2 goes vert, I've got him. And if the safety doesn't have any other responsibility, and he won't because you've only got 3 guys in the route, then that safety can bracket cover. What it essentially means is if the defense does their job and you hold 7 in against a quarters coverage, everyone is going to be minus 1 hat count as far as a target for Love. So that's where you've got to kind of mix and match and manipulate the defense. So understand what you're saying. It does feel like Love more often than not drops back a little bit of pressure. He has to roll right or something, right? Although our offensive line has played great this year in pass blocking, that's for sure.
Sure has. And they stepped up their run blocking too. Even in that last game against the Bears, I thought we blocked pretty well in the run fits. So they got to be on point. Like I said, we have to play a perfect game if we think we're going to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, it does. It has to be damn near perfect. It really does. Yep. And the other thing too, Tim, that is probably going to take for you to win this game is the Eagles making a couple of mistakes.
Yeah.
You guys remember when we played the Lions the first time, and it was like, man, it just felt like they were going, you know what? Because it was in the rain. You were there, Tim.
Yep.
It felt like the game plan was, we'll let them make the mistakes. We're going to keep things simple. You almost have a little bit of that going on too. The team that turns the ball over is going to lose this ball game.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah. Caldwell Corner says you can't stop the Eagles' run. You only you got to slow them down and make Hurts uncomfortable, and then it's just up to our offense to put points on the board. I like our chances. Yeah, I agree with that. And when you talk about you can't stop the Eagles' run, you just want to slow them down. That means containing those explosive runs, right?
Yes, and don't break your edge. Contain on the edges. Because you talk about running backs bouncing an inside zone or, an A or B gap run, bouncing it to the outside. That's Saquon all day. He does it just as good as anyone else in the league. And I saw an interesting stat this morning before the show when I was doing a little show prep on NFL Pro there. The Eagles passed the ball the least in the NFL this year. Did you guys know that?
Right.
So they don't really particularly want to throw, which is crazy because they've got A.J. Brown and, they've got some really good targets out there, but they tend to run their offense through their run game. And look at the success they've had this year. And this is what I've been kind of begging the Packers to kind of embrace is like, get that run game going, and then we'll open things up off of that rather than getting greedy, taking shot plays all the time.
All right. And it's the reason we were in that game in week 1 in Brazil. I put this tweet out in the week 1 matchup between the Packers and the Eagles. Josh Jacobs had 2 explosive runs, the first for 22 yards and then this one for 32 yards. Excited to see if we can get him going again. So here you see the Packers are in kind of I've got it on the end zone cam for this specific look, so I don't know exact formation. It looks like it's probably a dub left set with a T weak, meaning the T is to the weak side of the tight end. And we're just going to go run. We're going to run left here. And watch our boy Josh Jacobs, how this opens up. So you get a little bit of orbit motion. Yep. You see the backers having to slide back. Now we're off to the races. Look at Sean Ryan.
Look at Chuck Norris.
Yeah, holding the point of attack, right? You've got Rashid getting out here to seal this off, and look at Sean Ryan going to seal off the front side here, right? Or the back side, I should say, of the run. Look at Sean Ryan get out there. Let's go. And again, Josh Jacobs.
11 personnel. There it is again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Love it.
Look at this contact balance right here by Josh Jacobs. Whoop.
Excuse me.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Sean Ryan, 40 yards down the field looking to block somebody out. It's just absolutely awesome. Tim, you got to get this going early and then use play action off of it for sure, man.
You know what else I'd like to see in this game? I know this sounds crazy. I'd love to see Matt run tempo right off the bat. And I'm not talking like full on 2-minute drill, but I'm talking like half-ass huddle. Let's hurry up, get the call in, get to the line, and let's put that Philly defense that we know is extremely talented. Let's put them on their heels. Put them in a position where they can't sub or they can't make a call as quickly. You got to do every little thing you can do to try and gain an advantage over a team like this.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And again, it starts with the running game. Like I said, there was 2 explosive runs there by Josh Jacobs, one of 22, and then this one here I think was 32 yards. Yep. Now, another aspect of the explosive plays in this game was our boy Jaden Reed, who went absolutely off in this game, man. It was God, what a day it was.
Bird was the only one who wasn't slipping and falling out there.
Right. So I put in this tweet, Packers wide receiver Jaden Reed absolutely went off in week 1 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles with 3 explosive catches of 70 yards. That was a touchdown, 26 yards and 33 yards. He also had a touchdown run of 33 yards. That was on one of the jet sweeps, right? Green Bay is going to need that same energy on Sunday. So why does that work? They show a lot of shell, right? They play a lot of quarters. You guys remember last year how guys were gashing us with the crossers because we were running a lot of cover 3 match and cover 4 match, right? Mostly cover 3 match last year that we ran. What that does is if you're in a cover 3 zone and you run a crosser, the quarterback's got to find the first window or the second window. If it's just a traditional spot drop zone, right? So if you're playing match and you come out in a dub set, the 2 on the right, the number 2 on the right, the number 2 receiver, right, in the slot, whatever you want to call him, the number 2, if he goes vertical, then that guy in a traditional spot drop that will be covering that mid zone is now in man coverage. You see what I'm saying? Yep. Depending on if they're playing that specific zone match technique. Now, it may be, he matches the 3 or the T once they come out of the backfield. It could be the case. But what you do is you walk those guys out in match coverage. And if you have time as a quarterback, which goes back to the previous comment, if you got time in the pocket, you hit that second window on that crosser. He's going to be running butt naked through the trailer park. I'll show you what we mean here. This was a Jaden Reed. I think this is the 70-yarder here. So look, notice how everything opens up right here. Once he goes vert, this guy right here, this safety, and this is more of a cover 3 look, he's got to be willing to match either of these guys. Look at the hat count you've got on this concept, Tim. You've got a dagger concept with a crosser, or you could call it slot cross with a dagger splitting it. They've only got 2 defenders deep, and these guys are focused underneath. So this is more of a spot drop look. But look at all this space that Jaden Reed has right here. Yep. Now, what made that happen? You had the underneath leak, right, to Josh Jacobs that was there, and you had, I believe that's Tucker Kraft out here. that gets those guys to bite up, and now you're opening up that second window in a traditional spot drop. This looked like spot drop to me. So, and not only was he open, look at the dig on the slot cross. It's there too. Everybody was open. So if we roll it back again,
what we were talking about, you got 2 or 3 receivers that are open, and if that pass pro holds up, you know, I get why Jordan can get a little indecisive back there sometimes because he's looking at all these guys running free and trying to hammer that kill shot, you know.
Yep. And you came out in a dub nasty look, and you end up in a bunch nasty nub, essentially, is what you got, right? So when you show that and no one follows, you're gaining a hat. Now it's, can we hold up, right? Yep. And again, the two releases underneath gives a little safety valve there for Jordan. Jordan does a great job. First of all, Zach Tom absolutely taking care of his dude right here. And Jordan stepping up, popping that thing in over the top on the run. And, of course, Jaden just juking that cat out of his shoe.
Man, he's so good.
He is, man. People were still, well, he's fell off. The guys, his numbers have improved the entire year.
Yep.
Not the entire year. His numbers this year are better than they were last year. You can't say he had a great year last year and now all of a sudden he's bad this year when he's improved on his numbers this year. Again, I think it's a little bit of a sophomore slowdown, but for the most part, Jaden been money. That juke right there, man. Yeah. The way he sets it up like a 10-year vet. Watch this. Head around. Whoop, whoop.
How about Jordan on the run, too? Can we talk about that for a second? I think he throws the ball on the run as good as any quarterback in the NFL, period.
I think he throws it better than when he's in the pocket. I really do, man. He's more accurate.
Scary thought, right?
It's kind of like Caleb, right? Caleb Williams can't hit a bull in the ass with a mop when he's standing in the pocket. But, boy, you put him on the run, he can knock a dime off a cowboy hat.
Yep. It's unbelievable. Crazy.
But that juke, man, whoo, unbelievable. Love it, Christian. Love it, man. I want to get this win for Christian so bad. All right, next play. Here's another deep shot play. Notice the crossers again. That's how you're attacking this Fangio defense. You want to get people mixed up. And you'll see coming across, look at Jaden. So you see 8 matches right here, right? So if we roll it back just a touch, watch, I think that's number 8. Yeah, watch number 8. He's in match, okay? So he's going to match up. Once he breaks a barrier here, he's going to match up and turn that into man coverage. And look at the space all the way across the field. Now you see 27 is kind of looking for work, right? It's too late, though, because now he's got to honor this down here. He probably thinks 8's breaking off of that.
Yep.
Nobody can figure out why. Now, it could have been a lock play. It could have been a cover 3 lock where they say 8, you lock onto this guy, you play man coverage, everybody else play cover 3. We're going to be down a hat in the zone underneath, but we're going to specifically try to take away X player, right? That's kind of what it looks like. And Jaden Reed, again, just running. I mean, and great possession there. That's a pretty good lick there, right?
Yeah, I was going to say.
On football.
Yeah, and that's the definition of scheming a guy open, right? That's Matt LaFleur scheming Reed open here.
Mm-hmm.
Great job by Reed there on the crosser too, not getting caught up in traffic on that first move right here. Real easy to accidentally run into your teammate or something right there.
Yeah, definitely. And some people call that mesh. Anytime it's beyond 10 yards, I like to call it crossers as opposed to mesh or mid-mesh.
Right.
If you say mid-mesh, that's what it means, right? But mesh is just a concept where you got two receivers running crossers, and you're trying to get the DBs to kind of run into each other, right? Get lost in the shuffle as much as possible. It's a pretty ball by Jordan too, though. Standing in the pocket, a little bit of pressure, right?
Love it.
Yep, nice play. All right, next play. Here we go. It looks like we're in a trips left look here. Actually, I don't know where the tight. It's actually Trey left. I apologize. And they got Tucker split just a touch. And let's see what Jaden does on this play here. Yeah, it just kind of leaked out. This was a lick. This was at the end of the game, you guys remember, as we're trying to drive down and win on the final drive. Watch this catch. I'm going to slow it down since this is the last one. Watch Jaden Reed with this catch right here. First of all, the throw by Jordan. You talk about on the run, Tim.
Yep.
Watch how he snaps his wrist right here, Tim. Look at this. Just a flick. Poof. Look at that ball, and look at Jaden bring this in. And got his feet in, man. Jaden Reed's a hell of a receiver, man. People, really you can't watch that and go, man, Jaden can't catch football. He's got bricks for hands. Look at this catch.
Right. And look at the footwork too. As he's taking this slick, boop, tap that foot and stay in bounds, get the completion. I mean, he might be up there too, right behind Rome for contested catches. We've seen it all year. Reed down there somewhere. 2 or 3 defenders in the area, and he's coming up with the football. think we're kind of sleeping on Bird when it comes to the contested catch.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think it's something that needs to be talked about more for sure. I think we got the jet sweep play in here too. I'll pop it up. Yeah,
Oh,
here
boy.
we go. Yeah, so this is what you're talking about. Look how the safeties are so high. That's what you're looking for in a jet sweep, right?
Yep.
Now, you're going to see it's an orbit too. A little bit different than what we did under center. When you're in gun and you run that orbit jet sweep, there's a lot more depth. When you're under center, snap the ball, hand it off real quick, that's where you get in trouble because you're so shallow, you're so much closer to the defense. If you take the edge, it might be a home run. But more times than not, they're going to be able to make a tackle. I love the blocking scheme here too because, look, it's almost like a duo look, right? You got guys getting to the second level after they just do a little chip on the double team. You got the T here, which is, I believe, that's Emmanuel Wilson looking to be a lead blocker. Look at Tay Wicks doing the dirty work out here. I think that's Tay.
Yep.
And you see Emmanuel Wilson, hat on a hat there, and Jaden Reed just running through arm tackles of linebackers, guys. Like he's breaking that tackle line. I think that might have been Bond, as a matter of fact.
And that burst in space from Reed is crazy too. You know, you think he's running full speed, and all of a sudden he hits another gear, and you're like, oh my goodness, he's just gone.
Again, I think that's Zach Bond. He just ragdolls. I believe that's him.
Wow.
Could be wrong. But yeah, so again, we're not anti-jet sweep here. We're anti-jet sweep on 4th and short. Okay, let's don't get it twisted. But this, man, what a hell of a play, and Jaden in space there, man. I'd like to see him get more runs between the tackles, to be honest with you, the way he's shifty. But the problem with that is it's hard to stay healthy when you're that small, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, I can understand why Matt won't press into that for sure. Because you take 1 or 2 licks and now you're down Jaden Reed, this offense is really hurting if you're leading the receiver this year. So, I think many people forget that.
Yep.
All right, there you go. Just wanted to dive into a little bit of the tape. People were asking, hey, can you do a special chalk talk? I thought, you know what, let's run down some of the explosives and kind of show what happened in that regard. So that's why we went that route. But, yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup, man. There's no doubt about it. We got a couple minutes here, Tim. Let's hit the chat, and then we may get into a little NFL Pro. I got a lawyer appointment here I got to go to in a minute. So we're going to cut it a little bit short this morning. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you would hit that like button, feel free to sub to the channel. Thank y'all for making us part of your morning. Boz in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. He says, maybe we surprise them with 12 personnel, get Kraft and Musgrave going, open up the passing game more. You know, we pointed out last week, Boz, that we seen 12 it was 12 gun bunch nasty X, right? We usually run bunch nasty X out of 11, but they actually had 2 tight ends on the field. The attached Y was Tucker Kraft, and then you had Musgrave flexed out as the outside of that half diamond of the bunch set. I'm okay with it because Musgrave, he's got similar speed to a wide receiver, and he's got that huge frame. I'm okay with that if you want to try to manipulate their base defense, right? That'll probably, Tim, if you can somehow, some way get them into a base defense, and I don't know how Fangio's calling it, he may just press into big nickel as opposed to going to a 34 front, which I think he's traditionally a 34 coach, if I remember right. So if you can get them out of nickel, guess what that means? Maybe I doubt Cooper DeJean comes off the field, but one of those green players that we're talking about, green in a good way, not green in lack of experience. We're talking about green and PFF grade. Get one of those dudes off the field. That could help. I'll pull that up and see what their base would look like.
I totally agree. I think it's a good point from Boz. You know, I mean, we may have to manufacture run game, and that means switching things up and, changing personnel groupings. And yeah, we already know Tuck Norris is a blocking machine. You got Musgrave, who can be a receiving threat, and you have to respect that as we talk about guys that can stretch the field. Musgrave can stretch the field. He can. And they're going to have to respect that on defense. But when you look at, like you said, all those green PFF graded guys on that Philly defense, man, it's going to take everything to try and get something going. So I agree. I like a 2 tight end set for sure.
Yeah. So if we take a look at what Boz is saying here, and you look at it from a personnel standpoint. Now, listen, PFF gets this wrong. You know that. We've seen it all year long, Tim. They wouldn't have Cooper on there. They'd have, McDuffie, as if McDuffie was going to be playing the majority of the snaps, even in these latter weeks. They finally switched it. Let's assume they've got it right here. That means when you're in 12 personnel, if they do go to their base 34, DeJean's coming off the field. So that might be the way to go. Now, who comes in his place? you're going to go with that 34 look. You're going to bring in an extra defensive lineman, which that's Jordan Davis at a 66.6. Listen, Jordan Davis is a physical freak, right? But who would you rather have on the field? Jordan Davis with a 66.6 or Cooper DeJean that's grading out in the 80s, right?
Yep.
If this is accurate, and again, I got to put that out there because I haven't watched enough Philly tape here lately to know whether or not they do this when they're faced with 12 or 21 personnel triggering their base 34, or if they stay with a big nickel. But if Jordan Davis comes on the field as a nose tackle there, and you take Cooper DeJean off the field, now the matchup becomes Musgrave against a safety or a linebacker. And when I say linebacker, I mean a Nakobe Dean or a Zach Bond. Is that a great matchup? Probably not. But I do like the chances of I like your chances there of opening up the pass game in the 12 now that he points that out. Musgrave's only grading out a 46.2, but we know he's been banged up. It's the reason they don't have a ranking there. He doesn't even meet the minimum requirements. So maybe you could open that up, Boz. Even if it's Sims out there, if you go to 12 personnel and try to pass out of it, I don't think it's a bad idea. But as we've seen with that week 1 matchup, Tim, boy, oh boy, those explosives, you pointed it out. It seemed like it was all 11 personnel, wasn't it? So,
yeah. And that's what I'm saying is, like, let's look for these teams, both Green Bay and Philly, to like try and switch it up. I don't think they're going to try and, approach this the same way as they did in week 1. Right. So we'll probably see a lot of those same things, but I would also expect some switching of the personnel groupings for sure.
Yeah, I could see that too. So, Boz, I think you might be onto something, man. We'll see how they approach it for sure. If we have time, we're going to be doing a show tomorrow night. I got to run out of town, so there won't be a show tonight. There won't be a show tomorrow morning, but we'll be doing one tomorrow night. If we have time and you remind me, Tim, I'll pull up the personnel chart and see exactly what they're doing. We'll kind of take a little deeper look at that. Packer Backer, do you think we will have an answer for the Tush push? Packer Backer, I don't think anybody's got an answer for that Tush push, man.
You know what the answer is? Don't let them get in those situations.
That's it. Yeah.
Force their asses into 3rd and longs all day long. Try and get off the field 4th and 5, 4th and 8. There's no way.
Yeah. It's easier said than done, though.
Easier said than done, but I think that's the only way you stop it, because if they're in a short yardage situation, they line up. Now, granted, the Packers have looked pretty good against that crap in recent memories. Like just thinking about teams that get that play run on them. And we know it's the Philly special or whatever, right? The brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. I know it sounds boring, but yeah, don't let them get in those short yardage situations. It's the only way you're going to stop it.
And I'm trying to think of what that looks like, and I'm kind of spitballing here live. But what that means is when you get into a situation where, let's say it's a 3rd and 6, right, where you're normally going, okay, let's keep them to 4 yards or less, right? When you're kind of approaching it that way, maybe you go all out like this is a 4th down, or not even a 4th down play. This is like, hey, they can get no yards here. We need to play a little more aggressive, because if you play it more aggressive and you hit them for a loss, or it ends up being an incomplete pass, you take that Tush push off the table.
Yep. So, send the dogs, and if they beat you, they beat you. So what? I'd rather lose that way than playing it soft and getting
constantly being faced with a 4th and short. Right. That's a good point, man. I'm glad you brought it up, Tim. Definitely. Packer Backer. That's the only answer we got for it, man. Because if they get in 4th and short, man.
We got to know, right? We got to know if that happens, they're going. Don't even sit there and think about like, hey, are they bringing up? No, they're not. They're gonna run that play, and so you know what they're gonna do, and you know what play they're gonna run. How do you stop it, right?
I think it's very well said, man. Crossfire in the chat, appreciate you, buddy. Says Clayton Tim, thanks for keeping us entertained this season. This was my first season watching the show, and it's clear with the 2 shows a day that you're the most dedicated. Hey, man, we appreciate you, Crossfire. I know Tim. I didn't expect Tim to be able to join as many as he did. I kind of told him at the beginning of the year, hey, I'd like to go to 2 shows. But, man, Tim, you have stuck with me, bro. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Emilio and Jacob as well. But especially, man, you're in here every morning, and you're not a morning person.
No, I am now, though. You're converting me to the other side. Me and my 48 ounces of coffee every morning, ready to roll.
Definitely. And if my schedule would permit, Crossfire, we do this year round. But unfortunately, when spring hits, my landscaping business erupts. So that's why we go back to just 1 show a day. My overall goal for the channel, though, to be honest with you guys, I think I've mentioned this before on the air, is I would like this channel to become almost like a cable television channel. Like, it literally, at any point in the day, you can go to our channel and there's a live stream talking Packers. It's almost like there'd be a Green Bay Packer, a channel just dedicated to Green Bay Packers all day long. That would have to start with 3, right? A morning, an afternoon, and an evening. So if we can make that happen, we're going to do that. It's just, I mean, there's a reason no one else is doing it, because it's demanding.
It takes time. It's demanding. Yep. Absolutely.
So,
but all for good reason, man. Thanks for making me a part of this, Clay. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Mrs. Green says the dynamic duo in here. I'll tell you.
There she is.
Yeah. Many people probably wonder, man, how did y'all meet? We still haven't met face to face. Tim listened to the podcast. He was a caller, essentially. A listener would email me, and he called in a couple times. I got him to call in, and it was like, hey, this dude's really passionate about the Packers. Hey, why don't you just stay? I remember the time you called in. I said, Tim, if you got time, man, just hang out here for a minute. You hung out for the rest of the show.
Look where we are now, 2 years later.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. But is there anything else you want to touch on, Tim? We're at the 41-minute mark. Anything else you want to hit before we wrap up here, man?
I know you got to get going. The only thing I can think of is I pulled Philly's injury report. I don't know if you want to take a glance at that. Otherwise, we can hit that when you get back in town.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely hit that. And like I said, we'll hit the personnel. And there was something else. Oh, the ref, Robert. Shout out to Robert. He sent me the ref's name and everything. He's out there scouting these scumbags and letting us know who they are, right? So I'll just kidding.
I'm so sick of Ref Watch, though, man. Every time we do our homework, they go out and do the opposite of
what's true.
What they've been scouted.
But Tim, why pass up an opportunity to prove my ignorance, right? So we'll just continue to do it.
And we'll never pass up an opportunity to bang on the officials all day. Let's just throw as much mud at those guys as we can.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here, Mrs. Green. Maybe have a PTA podcast wives segment. I'm sorry, I meant support group. Man, I'll tell you, Mandy on here with Tim's wife would be, oh my gosh, it would be hilarious.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the channel will go down quick, not because of viewership, because everybody go, I'm not listening to a damn thing those guys got to say ever again, because their wives spilled the beans on it all. That's exactly what that would be.
Oh, man.
Number one Packer fan said, I might know some people who know some people, Clay. I thought you were saying I might know some people that know Clay. I was thinking, are they in the clink? Is that why? That's why they know me? Sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to hide that. What'd you put up?
No, he was saying I used to work in TV for a couple of years. Don't have deep connections, but I know some folks who may be able to give some advice. That's awesome.
Hey, appreciate it, man. We'll take any advice we can get. As you can tell, this show sucks and we could use it. So that's the way it works. All right, Tim. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. I'm going to go take some cough syrup. Go down here to the lawyer's office. Hopefully I don't get a DUI driving over from the cough syrup, and we'll hey, at least
Dayquil, Dayquil, not NyQuil. Take the Dayquil.
Exactly. Get a breathalyzer after shotgunning some cough medicine, and then halfway to the lawyer's office, just call the lawyer. Go, hey, I need you right now. As a matter of fact. So, but we're out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all again. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live, and we'll get you all the latest information. If something changes, I'll let y'all know as soon as I can, but I don't see anything changing. I've got to be at a Knoxville appointment at 9 a.m. in the morning. So, and we got 5 to 8 inches of snow that's on its way. So I'm just going to track down in the 4x4, get down there early, stay downtown, get a good dinner and a lot of sleep, and then just wake up, go to the appointment, and then try to creep back up the interstate in the snow. So we'll see y'all tomorrow night.
Man, take your time, drive safe, brother.
We'll do
rush, man. Get back safe so we can talk some more ball.
All right. Appreciate everybody, Tim. Thank you for your time, man. See you tomorrow night. Everybody, as always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go back.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.